The story of the Ford F-Series is not just the story of a truck. It is the story of America itself, told through steel, engines, sweat, and culture. Since its debut in 1948, the Ford F-Series has been more than a vehicle. It has been a companion for farmers, a workhorse for builders, a symbol of freedom for families, and eventually an icon of innovation as the automotive world marched toward electrification. It's been called the backbone of the nation, and for good reason. For 46 consecutive years, the F-Series has been America's best-selling truck, and for 41 of those years, the best-selling vehicle of any kind. And yet, its journey has been anything but simple. The F-Series evolved through wars, fuel crises, technological revolutions, and cultural shifts, constantly reinventing itself to stay ahead. So today, let us trace that remarkable evolution, from the modest F1 of 1948 to the high-tech F-150 Lightning of 2025. We begin in the late 1940s. America had just emerged victorious from World War II. Soldiers returned home, industries shifted from wartime production to consumer goods, and the American dream took shape in suburbs and farms across the country. Ford understood the need for a dedicated truck line that was not just a modified car, but a purpose-built pickup designed for work. And so, in 1948, the Ford F-Series bonus-built trucks were born. The first generation ranged from the half-ton F1 to the three-quarter-ton F2 and F3. By the 1950s, America was booming, and trucks were no longer just for farms and construction sites. They began appearing in driveways, driven by families who wanted utility with style. Ford responded with the second generation, beginning in 1953, which introduced a new naming system. The F1 became the F100, the F2 and F3 merged into the F250, and the F4 became the F350. This was the birth of the familiar F150 family tree. Engines also improved, with the introduction of the 215 cubic inch inline-six and the 239 Y-block V8, later joined by the 272 and 292 V8s. These trucks had more car-like features, like improved interiors and automatic transmissions. Ford was beginning to realize that pickups were not just tools, they were personal vehicles. As the 1960s arrived, the third and fourth generations made the F-Series sleeker, lower, and more stylish. The third generation, 1957-1960, saw the introduction of the style side bed, with integrated fenders that gave the truck a more modern look. The fourth generation, 1961-1966, brought the controversial unibody design, where the cab and bed were integrated into one structure. While innovative, this design proved problematic for heavy loads, and Ford quickly reverted to a separate cab and bed. Engines grew more powerful, too, with the introduction of the 300 cubic inch inline-six, a legendary workhorse that would remain in production for decades. Meanwhile, V8 options expanded with the FE series engines, like the 352, 360, and 390 cubic inch V8s, delivering the kind of torque truck buyers demanded. By the late 1960s and into the 1970s, the F-Series was firmly cemented as a cultural icon. The fifth generation, 1967-1972, introduced a wider, more comfortable cab and safety features like dual-circuit brakes. The sixth generation, 1973-1979, arrived just in time for the oil crisis, but these trucks were still massive and muscular, embodying the spirit of the era. The 1975 model year was historic. It marked the debut of the F-150, created to bridge the gap between the lighter-duty F-100 and the heavier F-250. Little did Ford know, the F-150 would eventually become the crown jewel of the lineup. Engines ranged from the humble 300 i6 to the mighty 460 cubic inch big block V8, giving buyers options for every need. In 1980, Ford launched the seventh generation, a complete redesign that prioritized aerodynamics and efficiency in response to rising fuel prices. The new trucks featured cleaner lines, improved ride comfort, and modern amenities. This was the era of the Windsor 302 and 351 V8s, along with the 6.9L IDI diesel V8 introduced in 1983, which gave Ford a foothold in the growing diesel market. Trucks were no longer just workhorses, they were becoming daily drivers for millions of Americans. The eighth generation, 1987-1991, pushed that trend further. Rounded styling, fuel injection, and improved interiors made these trucks more refined than ever. Then came the ninth generation, 1992-1996, with smoother aerodynamics and modern safety features. This was the final era of the F-150 with the classic squared-off look, and the final years of the F-100, which was discontinued in favor of the rising F-150. Engines included the 5.0L and 5.8L Windsor V8s, as well as the bulletproof 7.3L Power Stroke diesel in heavy-duty models. These trucks were everywhere, on farms, at job sites, and cruising Main Street, USA. They had become part of the American landscape. The 10th generation, 1997-2003, marked a dramatic shift. Ford redesigned the F-150 with a more car-like appearance, smoother curves, and improved comfort. Some purists balked, but sales soared. This was the generation that introduced the Triton V8 engines, including the 4.6L and 5.4L modular V8s. These overhead cam engines were more modern, but not without controversy, as spark plug ejection and other issues would haunt some owners. Still, the F-Series dominated sales, and in 1999, Ford introduced the Super Duty lineup, separate from the F-150, featuring the massive F-250 through F-750, powered by the 7.3L Power Stroke diesel, later joined by the 6.0L and 6.4L diesels. The Super Duty trucks were built for towing, hauling, and dominating the heavy-duty market. The 11th generation, 2004-2008, pushed the F-150 into the modern age with a tougher frame, new interiors, and bold styling. Engines included the 4.2L V6, the 4.6L V8, and the 5.4L Triton V8. These trucks sold in the millions, cementing Ford's dominance. Meanwhile, the Super Duty line got the 6.0L and 6.4L Power Stroke diesels, engines that were powerful but plagued with reliability issues, leading to lawsuits and angry owners. Still, the F-Series remained untouchable in sales. By the 12th generation, 2009-2014, Ford introduced more refinement, technology, and luxury to its trucks. This was the birth of the Platinum trim, aimed at buyers who wanted leather, wood, and high-end audio in their pickups. The big news came in 2011, when Ford introduced the 3.5L EcoBoost V6, a twin-turbo engine that promised V8 power with V6 fuel economy. Many were skeptical, but the EcoBoost proved itself with massive torque and towing capacity. Meanwhile, the Super Duty got the all-new 6.7L Power Stroke diesel, designed in-house by Ford, delivering immense power and reliability. The 13th generation, 2015-2020, was revolutionary. Ford made the bold decision to switch the F-150's body to aluminum, cutting 700 pounds of weight while improving fuel economy and capability. Critics mocked the idea of an aluminum truck, but Ford silenced them with record sales. Engines included the 2.7L EcoBoost, the improved 3.5L EcoBoost, the 5.0L Coyote V8, and the high-output EcoBoost in the F-150 Raptor, delivering desert racing performance in a factory truck. This generation also introduced advanced technology like adaptive cruise control, lane-keeping assist, and a massive 8-inch touchscreen, features once reserved for luxury cars. The 14th generation, 2021-2024, built on that success, with even more technology and options. The F-150 gained a full hybrid option with the 3.5L PowerBoost V6, delivering 430 horsepower and the ability to power an entire job site with its onboard generator system called Pro Power Onboard. Luxury trims like King Ranch, Platinum, and Limited rivaled Mercedes and BMW in comfort and features. But the biggest shock came in 2021 with the launch of the F-150 Lightning, an all-electric version of America's favorite truck. With dual motors producing up to 580 horsepower and 775 lb-ft of torque, the Lightning could sprint to 60 mph in just 4 seconds, faster than most sports cars, while still towing up to 10,000 pounds. Its massive frunk, 320-mile range, and ability to power a home during outages made it a sensation. This was the moment the F-Series stepped into the EV age. And now, in 2025, the story continues. Ford has refreshed the F-150 lineup with updated styling, improved interiors, and more tech. The 2025 Lightning receives range improvements and faster charging on 800-volt architecture, cutting recharge times dramatically. Through every generation, the F-Series has mirrored America itself. It has been there on farms in Iowa, oil fields in Texas, freeways in California, and battlefields overseas. It has appeared in movies, country songs, and presidential motorcades. It has hauled cattle, boats, and construction materials. It has evolved from the simple, Flathead-powered F1 of 1948 to the high-tech, electrified Lightning of 2025. And yet, at its core, it has always remained the same, a dependable truck that gets the job done. The evolution of the Ford F-Series is a story of survival, adaptation, and dominance. It is the story of how a truck became the best-selling vehicle in America for nearly half a century. It is the story of how engineering decisions, from the rugged 300i6 to the turbocharged EcoBoosts, from the 7.3L Power Stroke to the 5.0L Coyote, and now to battery electric motors, shaped not just a product line, but an entire culture. And it is the story of how, even in an age of change, the F-Series remains a constant, a symbol of work, of family, of freedom, and of America itself. So when we look at the Ford F-Series today, we're not just looking at a truck. We're looking at 77 years of history, innovation, and trust. We're looking at a machine that has carried America forward, one load, 1 mile, 1 generation at a time. And as we move into the electric future, one thing is certain. The Ford F-Series will continue to lead the way, because it is more than a truck. It is an icon,